concludes the court's explanation of the legal aspects of this case. And now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I come to my final instruction to you. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimony, and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead, the life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is a reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy you your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you all.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, take your seats. Alright, looks like you're all here. If you need anything, just knock. I'll be right outside. I never knew they locked the door.
Sure they locked the door. What'd you think?
I don't know, it just never occurred to me.
What's that for?
Well, I figured we might want to vote by ballots.
Great! Maybe we can get him elected senator. How'd you like it?
Oh, I don't know. It was pretty interesting.
Really?
Yeah, well, you know, I've never been on a jury before.
I've sat on juries before. It always amazes me the way these lawyers can talk and talk and talk. Even when the case is as obvious as this one. I mean, did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Sure they are. Listen, that's the system. I'm not going to say anything against it. But I think we'd be better off to get these tough things and slap them down before they cause any trouble. Save us a lot of time and money, you know?
Hey, so how's all getting started here?
Well, I figured we'd take a 5-minute break. I mean, the old lady's in the bathroom. Should we sit in order? I don't know.
It's not a bad view. What'd you think of the case? I thought it was really interesting, you know? No dead spots. I'm telling you, we were really lucky to get a murder case. I figured it was for a burglary or assault or something, and those could be the dullest. Say, is that the Woolsworth building over there?
That's right.
Funny, I've lived here all my life and I've never been inside of it.
Waste of time. Yeah, can you imagine sitting there for 3 days just for this?
And what about that business with the knife? I mean, asking people to actually believe that kind of crap?
Look, you gotta expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose so. What's the matter? You got a cold?
And how? These hot weather colds can kill you. You can hardly touch my nose. You know what I mean?
Well, your horn works, now try your light. Ah, beautiful. The fan doesn't work. Someone take up a letter to the mayor. Dear Stingy.
Let me take a look at it. Nope, doesn't work.
Say, anything new going on? I didn't get a chance to look at the papers today.
I was just wondering how the market closed.
I wouldn't know. Say, are you in the exchange something?
I'm a broker.
Really? I run a messenger service, the Beck and Call company. Name was my husband's idea. We employ 37 people. Started with nothing.
Hey, Miss Foreman, let's get started. What do you say?
All right, everybody, let's take seats.
This better be fast. I got a baseball game today. Yankees, Cleveland. We got this new kid pitching, Mal Wazowski or whatever his name is. This kid is a bull. A real jug handle. I can see you're quite a ball fan, aren't you? Where do you want us to sit?
Well, I was figuring that we might want to sit in order of jury numbers. So 2, 3, 4, so on.
What's the difference?
I think it's reasonable to sit according to order.
Say, what was your impression of the prosecuting attorney?
Beg pardon?
I thought he was really sharp. I mean, the way he hammered home his points, one by one, in logical sequence. It takes a good brain to do that. I was very impressed.
Yes, I think he did an excellent job.
He had a lot of drive, too. Real drive.
All right, let's get the show on the road.
How about sitting down? Miss, at the window. How about sitting down?
Sorry. It's pretty tough to figure, isn't it? It killed his father. Bing! Just like that.
Well, if you look at the figures...
What figures? It's those people. I'm telling you, they let the kids run wild up there. Well, maybe it serves them right. Know what I mean?
Hey, you a Yankee fan?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee? No, that's just like it didn't have a crowbar every day. Okay, who do they got? I'm asking you, who do they got besides Greg Brown sneakers?
We'd like to get started. Sorry.
All right. So, now you guys can handle this any way you'd like to. I mean, I'm not going to have any rules or anything like that. If we want to discuss first and then vote, that's up to you. Or we can vote first and see how we stand. Well, that's all I have to say.
I think it's customary we take a preliminary vote.
Yeah, let's vote. Who knows, maybe we can all go home.
It's up to you. Just let's remember, we've got a first-degree murder charge here. If we vote guilty, we send the accused to the electric chair. That's mandatory.
I think we all know that. Come on, let's vote. Yeah, let's see who's where.
Anybody who doesn't want to vote? All right, this has to be a 12-0 vote, either way. That's the law. If we're ready, we can go ahead and start. All those voting guilty, raise your hand. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty. Okay, not guilty? 1. Right. Okay, 11 to 1, guilty. Now we know where we are.
Boy, oh boy, there's always one.
So, what are we supposed to do now?
Well, I guess we talk. Boy, oh boy. Well, look, do you really think the kid is innocent? I don't know. I mean, let's be reasonable. You sat in the same courtroom we did, and we all think he's guilty. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it. The man? He's 16 years old. That's old enough. He knifed his own father, 4 inches into the chest. Pretty obvious. I was convinced from the first day. Well, who wasn't? Look, I really think this is one of those open shut things. They proved it a dozen different ways. Would you like me to list them for you? No. Then what do you want? Nothing. I just want to talk.
Well, what's there to talk about? I mean, 11 people here agree. No one had to think twice about it except you.
I want to ask you something. Do you believe his story?
I don't know. Maybe I don't. So what'd you vote not guilty for?
Look, there were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to just raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Well, who said it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because it was my hand first? Look, I think the guy's guilty. No one can change my mind, even if you talk for a million years.
I'm not trying to change your mind. It's just that we're talking about somebody's life here. We can't just decide in 5 minutes. Supposing we're wrong.
Suppose we're wrong. Suppose the whole building fell on my head. You can suppose anything.
That's right.
Look, what's the difference how long it takes? We honestly think he's guilty. So we take 5 minutes, so what?
Let's take an hour. Your ball game doesn't start until 8 o'clock.
Okay, slugger, be my guest.
Okay, well, who has something to say? How about you?
Oh, no, not me.
I'm willing to put in an hour.
Great. I heard a pretty good joke last night. A Catholic, a Jew, and a Muslim walking to a bar.
That's not what we're sitting here for.
All right, can you tell me what are we sitting here for?
I don't know. Maybe no reason. Look, the boy's been kicked around all his life, you know. Growing up in the slums, his mother dead since he was 9. He spent a year in an orphanage while his father served a jail term for forgery. That's not a very good start. He's had a pretty terrible 16 years, and I just think maybe we owe him a few words, that's all.
Listen, I don't mind telling you this. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? What do you think that trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here. We heard the facts. Now, you're not going to tell us we're supposed to believe that kid knowing what he is. Listen, I've lived among them my whole life. You can't believe a word they say. I mean, they're born liars.
It suddenly occurred to me that you were very ignorant.
What do you mean? What's she talking about?
Do you think you have a monopoly on the truth?
What are you making a federal case out of it for?
I think certain things should be pointed out to this young woman.
All right, it's not something you don't need a sermon here. Not for me. Crying out. If we're going to discuss this case, let's stick to the facts.
Right, we have a job to do. Let's do it. Maybe if the woman who's disagreeing with us down there could tell us why, tell us what she thinks, we could show her where she's probably mixed up.
What are you doing?
Oh, it's just something I work on for the ad agency. Rice Pops. The breakfast with the built-in bounce. I wrote that line.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
If you don't mind.
Oh, sorry. I just have a habit of doodling. It keeps me focused.
We're trying to get someplace here. We can sit here forever.
Well, I was thinking about that, and then I just had a quick thought. It seems to me that it's up to us, the 11 of us, to convince this lady right here that she's wrong and we're right. So I thought that maybe if each of us took a minute or two and just explained what we thought of the case. It was just an idea.
No, I think it's a good one. Supposing we go once around the table and order jury numbers.
Anything. Let's start it off.
Okay, that means you're first.
Oh, well, it's a little bit difficult to put into words, I just think he's guilty, and I thought it was obvious from the word go. Nobody else proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's the Constitution. You've heard of it?
Well, sure, I've heard of it, but, he's guilty, right? Somebody saw him do it.
Okay, now here's what I think. And I'm talking facts. I have no personal feelings about this. Number one, let's take the old man who lived in the apartment downstairs from where the boy lived. At 10 minutes after 12, he said he heard what sounded like a fight coming from the apartment upstairs. He then heard the boy shout out, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he heard his body fall and hit the floor. He ran to the door of his apartment. Then he saw the boy running out of the house. Called the police. 3 hours later, they found a knife stuck in the father's chest. That's right. They're the facts for you. You can't repeat facts.
And the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Look, I'm as sentimental as the next person. I know the kid is only 16, but he's got to pay for what he did. I'm with you.
It was obvious to me anyway that the boy's story was flimsy. He claims he was at the movies during the time of the hour, and yet, 1 hour later, he couldn't remember what films he saw or who had played in them.
That's right. Did you hear that? I did. That's right.
No one saw him going into or out of the theater.
Listen, what about the lady across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing does.
That's right. She was the only one who actually saw the killing.
Let's go in order here.
Just a minute. Here's a woman. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. She's dying of the heat. Know what I mean? Anyway, she looks out the window and she sees the kid kill his father. The time was 12:10 on the nose. Everything fits. Listen, she's known the kid all his life. His window is right opposite hers across the L tracks. And she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing L train.
Right. This L train had no passengers on it. It was just being moved downtown. The lights were out, remember? They proved in court that you can look through the windows of an L train when the lights are out and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
You don't believe the boy. How come you believe the woman? She's one of them too, isn't she?
You're pretty smart, aren't you?
Hey, let's take it easy.
What's she so wise about? I'm telling you.
Come on, sit down. Let's not get so worked up. Let's calm down now. Let's try to keep it peaceful in here. Whose turn is it? It's yours. Let's go.
I'll pass.
That's your privilege? How about you?
I don't know. I started to be convinced pretty early in the case. I was looking for a motive. Worst case, there's no motive. That testimony from the people across the apartment, that was pretty powerful. Didn't they say something about an argument between the son and the father around 7 o'clock? I could be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard an argument between the boy and his father, but they couldn't hear what it was about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and then finally saw the boy walk angrily out of the apartment. What does that prove?
It doesn't prove anything, it's just part of the picture.
You said that it could provide a motive for the murder. The prosecution said the same thing. Well, I don't think it's a very solid motive. I mean, this boy's been hit so many times in his life that violence is practically a normal state of affairs for him. I just can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him to committing murder.
It may have been 2 slaps too many. Everyone has a breaking point.
It's very
Anything
true.
else?
No.
Okay, how about you?
Me? I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much all said already. We could talk about it forever. I mean, look at his record. The kid's 0 for 5. He was in court. He was in children's court when he was 10 for throwing a rock at a teacher. At 14, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up twice for trying to slash another teenager with a knife. He's real quick with the knives, they said. This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly with his fists.
So would I, a kid like that.
Wouldn't you call those beatings a motive for him to kill his father?
I don't know. Call him a motive for him to be an angry kid, I'll give you that. That's the way kids are nowadays. Angry, hostile. You can't do a damn thing with them. You know, when I was his age, I called my father sir and my mother ma'am. That's right, sir. You ever hear a boy call his father that anymore? Fathers don't seem to think it's important anymore. Yeah? Have you got any kids? 2. Well, I've got one. He's 20. We did everything for that boy. And how did he repay us? When he was 9, he ran away from the fight. I saw it. I was so ashamed I almost blew up. You work your heart out. All right, let's get on.
I think we're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We are here to decide whether he's guilty or innocent of murder. Not to go into reasons why he grew up this way. He was born in a slum. Slums are a breeding ground for criminals. I know it, so do you. It's no secret. Children from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society. Now
You can say that again. The kids who crawl out of those places are real trash. I don't want any part of them, I'm telling you. I lived in a slum all of my life. I nursed that pile of garbage in Harlem Hospital 6 nights a week. Now wait a second. I used to live in a backyard full of garbage. Maybe it still smells on me. Now listen, lady.
Now, let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal here.
There is something personal here. I don't think you understand.
Come on, sit down. Let's not be so sensitive.
His sensitivity, I understand.
All right, let's stop all of this arguing. It's your turn. Let's go.
Well, I didn't expect a turn. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me. Wasn't that the point?
Check. Forgot that.
What's the difference? She's the one keeping us here. Let's hear what she's got to say.
Now, just a second. We decided to do it a certain way. Let's stick to what we said.
Stop being a kid, will ya?
Kid? What do you mean by that?
What do you think I mean? K-I-D. Kid.
What? Just because I'm trying to keep this thing organized? Listen, you wanna do it? Fine. Here. Sit here.
Listen, what are you getting so hot about? Calm down, will ya?
Don't tell me to calm down. Here's your chair. What, you think it's just a snap? I'd like to see how you run the show.
Ever see such a thing?
What, you think it's funny or something?
Now, look, take it easy. This whole thing's unimportant.
Unimportant? You wanna try it?
No. Look, you're doing a beautiful job. No one wants to change anything.
Yeah, you're doing great. Just hang in there and pitch.
All right, let's hear from somebody.
Well, if you want me to tell you how I feel about it right now, then that's all right with me.
I don't care what you do.
Okay? I haven't gotten anything brilliant. I only know as much as you do. According to the testimony, the boy looks guilty, and maybe he is. I sat there in court for 3 days watching as the evidence built up around us. Everybody seemed so positive that I started to get a peculiar feeling about this trial. I mean, nothing is that positive. There are questions I would have liked to ask, and maybe they wouldn't have meant anything. I don't know, but I started to get the feeling that the defense counsel wasn't doing his job. He let too many things go, just little things.
What little things? Listen, when those guys don't ask questions, it's because they know the answers already and they figure they'll be heard.
Maybe. It's possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Sounds like you've met my brother-in-law.
I kept putting myself in the boy's place. I would have asked for another lawyer. I mean, if I was on trial for my life, then I would want my lawyer to rip the prosecution witnesses to shreds, or at least try. Look, there was one alleged eyewitness to this killing. Someone else claims that he heard the murder and then saw the boy running out afterwards. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence, but really, those two witnesses are the entire case for the prosecution. Supposing they were wrong.
You mean supposing they were wrong?
Well, could they be wrong?
What's the point of having witnesses at all? They sat on a stand under oath. What are you trying to say?
They're just people, and people make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know so?
No, no one can know a thing like that. This isn't an exact science.
That's right, it isn't. Listen, the old man heard the boy shout out, "I'm going to kill you." What more do you want?
Hey, listen, there are some people who haven't done it.
Okay, they can talk whenever they like. Now just be quiet a second, will you? Now, what about the old man who heard the boy shout out, "I'm going to kill you"? Then he heard the boy running down the stairs and he saw him on the stairs. What about that? No. What about the knife? Let's get in there. Let's talk about it. Can you go? Thank you.
The knife and the way it was bought. It's pretty strong evidence. Don't you think so?
I do.
Good. Now suppose we take these facts one at a time. 1. The boy admitted going out of his house at 8 o'clock on the night of the murder after being punched several times by his father. 2. He directly went to a neighborhood junk shop where he bought a, what do you call those things? Switchblade knife. Thank you. 3. This wasn't what you would call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual carved handle to it. 4. The storekeeper who sold it to him identified the knife in court and said it was the only one of its kind he had ever had in stock. 5. At about 8:45, the boy ran into 3 friends of his in front of a diner. Am I correct so far?
Yes, you are.
You bet she is. Now you listen to this woman. She knows what she's talking about.
The boy talked with his friends for about an hour, leaving them at 9:45. During this time, he saw a switch knife. 6. Each of them identified the death weapon in court as the same knife. 7. The boy arrived home at about 10 o'clock. Now, this is where the stories offered by the boy and the state begin to diverge slightly. The boy claims that he stayed home until 11:30 and then later went to one of those online movies. He arrived home at about 3:15 in the morning to find his father dead and himself arrested. Now, what happened to the switch knife? This is the charming and imaginative little fable the boy invented. He claims that the knife fell through a hole in his pocket sometime between 11:30 and 3:15 while on his trip to the movies, and that he never saw it again. Now, this is a tale, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's quite clear that the boy never went to the movies that night. No one in the house saw him go out at 11:30. No one at the theater identified him. He couldn't even remember the names of the pictures he saw. What really happened is this. The boy stayed home, had another fight with his father, stabbed him to death with a knife, fled from the house, and he even remembered to wipe the knife clean of fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified the knife in court. Are you really trying to tell me that the knife really fell through a hole in his pocket, that someone picked it off the street, went to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying it's possible that the boy lost the knife and someone else stabbed the father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. I've never seen one like it. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not asking you to accept it. I'm just saying that it's possible. And I'm saying that it's not possible.
Oh my God! What are you trying to do?
All right, let's calm down. Where did you get that knife?
I went walking last night, just thinking. I walked through the boy's neighborhood. The knife comes from a little pawn shop 3 blocks from the boy's house. It costs $6.
It's against the law to buy or sell switchblade knives.
That's right. I broke the law.
Listen, you pulled a real bright trick here. Now supposing you tell me what you proved. What? Maybe there are 10 knives like that. Maybe there are. What do you think this is? The discovery of the age or something?
It would still be an incredible coincidence for another person to have stabbed father with the same time.
That's right. He's right.
The odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
But it's possible.
But not very probable.
Listen, let's take seats. There's no point in milling around here.
It's still very interesting that you would find a knife exactly like the one that the boy had.
Interesting? What's interesting? You think it proves anything?
Well, no, I was just trying.
Interesting. Why did the boy buy the knife in the first place?
Well, he claims that
Yes, I know. He claims he bought it for a friend because he busted the other kid's knife dropping it on the pavement.
That's what he said. Baloney.
The friend testified that the boy did break his knife.
Yeah. And how long before the killing? 3 weeks, right? So how come our fine lad bought the knife 1/2 hour after his father smacked him and 3.5 hours before they found it shoved in his father's chest?
Well, he was gonna give it to a friend. He just wanted to use it for a minute. Oh, let me ask you this. It's one of the questions that I wanted to ask in court. If the boy bought the knife to use on his father, then how come he showed what was going to be a murder weapon to a few of his friends just a couple of hours before the killing?
Listen, all of this is just talk. The boy lied and you know it.
Maybe he lied. Do you think he lied?
Well, that's a stupid question. Sure he lied.
Do you?
You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I'm not sure.
What do you mean you're not sure? Who are you to come in here and start cross-examining us?
Isn't that what you're supposed to do in a jury room?
11 of us still think he's guilty.
Yeah, what do you think you're gonna accomplish? I mean, 11 people here agree. What do you think you're gonna do about it? We could be here all night.
It's only one night. The boy may die.
Brother. Anybody got a deck of cards?
I really don't think that you ought to make a joke out of this. Could you please?
What do you want me to do?
And I don't see what all this stuff has to do with anything. Somebody saw the kid kill his father. What more do we need? Listen, I got 3 apartments going to pop while you're talking. Let's get done and get out of here.
The knife was very important to the district attorney. He spent one
He's a
month.
15th assistant or something. What does he know?
Okay, I think we ought to get on with it now. This side arguments only slow us up. What about it?
You're the only one. I'd like to make a proposition. I'd like to call for another vote. I want all of you to vote by secret written ballot. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, then I won't stand alone. We'll go in there right now and give a guilty verdict to the judge. But if anyone votes not guilty, then we'll stay in here and talk it out. That's what you want to do, then I'm ready.
Well, finally you're behaving like a reasonable woman.
Can't go by that.
Okay, let's do it. That sounds fair? Anyone doesn't agree? All right, pass those along.
Thank you.
No, I want to stay.
We'll go ahead and take that extra. Thank you.
Is that all of them? I believe so. All right. Guilty? 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 Not guilty? Guilty.
Boy, how do you like that?
And another chap flips his wig.
All right, who was it? Come on, I want to know.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot. We all agreed on this.
Secret? What do you mean secret? There are no secrets in a jury room. I know who it was. You know, you're really something to come in here and vote guilty with the rest of us. Then this golden voice preacher comes in and starts telling you stories about a poor little slum kid that couldn't help becoming murdered. So you change your vote. Isn't Isn't that just the most sickening? Why don't you drop a quarter in her collection box?
Where do you on earth
Get the right to shout at me like that.
all right, let's calm down.
She has no right to shout at me like that. I don't understand it. Did you see her, everyone?
Just sit down. She's very excitable. Forget it. Doesn't matter.
Excitable? You bet I'm excitable. We're trying to put a guilty man in the chair where he belongs. Somebody's telling us fairy tale and we're listening.
Why don't you just take it easy?
Take it easy? What do you mean take it easy? How do you feel about seeing a proven murderer walk the street? Why don't you give him his knife back? Make it easier for him.
Okay, let's stop this yelling. Who's got something constructive to say?
Please, I would like to say something. I've always thought that in this country, a person was entitled to unpopular.
Okay. Let's stick to the subject. What made you change your vote?
She didn't change her vote. I did. Would you like me to tell you why?
No, I wouldn't like you to tell me.
Well, I'd like to make it clear anyway, if you don't mind. We have to listen to this. Hey, look, the woman wants to talk. Thank you. This woman here has been standing alone against us. She never says the boy is not guilty. She just isn't sure. Well, I respect her motives. It's not easy standing alone against the ridicule of others. She gambled for support and I gave it to her. The boy is probably guilty, but I would like to hear more. For now, the vote is 10-2. Come on, I'm trying to talk here. You don't have the right to just...
You'll never listen to me. Well, if the speech is over, maybe we can go on.
I think we ought to take a break. I mean, one person's inside there. Let's wait for her.
Looks like we're looking up here. That's pretty unexpected. I wish we knew how to break this up. Say, I told you, sometimes in advertising. I told you I worked in advertising, didn't I? Well, anyways, in the agency, and anytime we reach a point like this in a meeting, there will always be some character ready for an idea. And I mean, it kills me. It's the strangest thing, the way they proceed it with some sort of... it's probably the same in your business, yes. What is it you do?
Well, I'm a watchmaker.
Really? The finest watchmakers come from Europe, I imagine. Anyways, I was saying, when we reach a point like this in a meeting, there's always some guy ready with a phrase or an idea to go before it. Like, some account exec will say, here's an idea, let's put it on a bus and see if it gets off at Wall Street. Or, here's an idea, let's run it up a flagpole and see if anyone salutes it. I mean, it's idiotic, and it's stupid, but it's funny.
Look, about earlier, I was a little excited. I didn't mean to get nasty or anything.
Are you a salesman?
I'm an architect.
You know what the soft sell is? Say you're pretty good at it. I got a different technique. Drinks, jokes, knock them off their feet. I made $27,000 last year selling marmalade. Now that's not bad considering marmalade. Look, what are you trying to get out of this, kids? Look, the guy's guilty, man, so why don't we all just go home before we get sore throats?
What's the difference whether you get one here or at the game?
No difference, pal, no difference at all.
Nurse Bridget. Yeah, I guess they're as good as any. That woman, the one that was talking about the kid, the thing she was saying, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
What a murderous day. You think we'll be here much longer?
I don't know.
It should have been done already, but it beats working. Do you really think that kid's innocent?
I don't know, it's possible.
You look like you've never been around women in your life, but you ought to wrap things up. You're wasting your time.
Supposing you were the one on trial?
I'm not one for supposing. I'm a working woman, my boss is a supposing. But I'll give you this one. Suppose you talk us out of this, and the kid really did knife his father.
Is that okay going to you?
All right.
Come on, everybody. Let's take seats.
Looks like we're gonna be here for dinner.
Okay, let's get down to business. Who wants to start it off?
Oh,
Are you able to speak?
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
It's a small point, but the kid had a motive for the killing. You know, with the beatings and all. So if he didn't do it, then who did? Who else had a motive? You don't just go around killing somebody for no reason.
As far as I know, then we're supposed to determine whether or not the boy on trial is guilty of murder beyond a reasonable doubt. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here. That's a job for the police.
Very true. But we can't help letting the only motive we know of creep into our thoughts, can we? And we can't help asking ourselves, who else might have had a motive? Logically, these things follow up. This woman is asking you a reasonable question. Somebody killed him. If it wasn't the boy, who was it?
Mom Wachowski.
Hey, you're talking about the man I love.
If you haven't got anything to add besides jokes, I suggest you listen.
Okay, I'm just letting off steam. Go ahead.
Maybe you can answer me this. Who else might have killed the father?
I don't know. The father wasn't exactly a model citizen. The boy's lawyer outlined his past in his final statement. Let's see. He was in prison once. He was a compulsive gambler and a pretty consistent loser. He spent a lot of time in neighborhood bars and got into fist fights after just a couple of drinks, usually over a woman. He was a rough, tough, criminal kind of man who had never had a job for more than 6 months. So here are some suggestions. He may have been killed by one of the many men he spent time in prison with, by a bookmaker, by one of the men he'd beaten up, by one of the women he picked up, by any one of the people he was known to hang out with.
Boy, oh boy, that's the biggest little crap pie ever. Listen, we know the father was a bum, so what has that got to do with anything?
I didn't bring it up. I was asked who else might have killed him, and I gave my answer.
She did ask a direct question.
Everyone's a lawyer. Listen, suppose you answer this for me. What about the old man who lived on the second floor right underneath the apartment where the murder took place? He heard the boy scream out, "I'm going to kill you." A split second later, he heard the body hit the floor. Now, what does all this mean to you?
I was wondering just how clearly the old man could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
He did hear it through the ceiling. His window was open, and so was the window upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
It's not easy to identify a voice, especially a shouting voice.
He identified it in court. He picked the boy's voice out of 5 other voices, blindfolded.
That was just an ambitious district attorney putting on a show. Look, the old man knows the boy's voice very well. They've lived in the same house for years, but to identify it positively from the apartment below, don't you think it's possible that he was wrong? That maybe he thought the boy was upstairs and just automatically assumed that the voice he heard was the boy's voice?
I think that's a bit far-fetched.
And say that again. Look, the old man heard the father's body falling, and then he saw the boy run out of the house. 15 seconds later, he saw the boy.
Check. And don't forget the woman across the street. She looked right into the open window and saw the boy stab his father. I mean, isn't that enough for you?
Not right now, is it?
Man, how do you like her? It's like talking to a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through a moving and elevated train. The train had 6 cars and she saw it through the last 2. She remembered the most insignificant details. I don't see how you can argue with that.
Well, what have you got to say about it?
I don't know, it just doesn't sound right to me.
Suppose you think about it. Lend me your pencil.
I wonder if anyone has any idea how long it takes. Wait a minute! This isn't a game! Who do you think you are?
All right, take it easy.
Come on now, let's calm down. Sit down.
Did you see her? The nerve! The absolute nerve!
All right, forget it. It's not important. You know what I mean?
This isn't a game. Who does she think she's dealing with here? As I was saying, I wonder if anyone has any idea how long it takes a 6-car elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point.
What does that have to do with anything?
How long? Take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
How about you?
Golly, I don't know. 10 to 12 seconds maybe?
That sounds about right. Anyone else?
What's all this for?
I would say about 10 seconds, approximately.
All right, say 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. You've decided that it takes a 6-car elevated train going at medium speed 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now let's say that that given point is the open window of the room in which the murder took place. That room is so close to the L tracks you can almost reach out the window and touch them, right?
That's right.
All right, now let me ask you this. Does anyone ever lived near the L tracks?
I just got done painting an apartment near the L tracks.
How was it?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
Well, we're all punching our business anyways.
I spent a couple of years next to an L train once living there. When the window was open and the train went by, the noise was absolutely unbearable. You couldn't hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Will you get to the point?
I will. Now, let's take 2 pieces of testimony and try to put them together. First, the old man. He says that he heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," and then heard the body fall a split second later, right? Just a split second later.
That's right.
All right, and now the woman across the street, she says that she looked through her window just casually and saw the boy stab his father through the last two cars of the L train, right? The last two cars.
All right, what point are you making here?
This. So we agreed that the L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. Since the woman saw the killing through the last two cars of the L train, we can assume that the body hit the floor just as the train was passing by. Therefore, the L train had been roaring by the old man's window for a full 10 seconds before the body fell. The old man, according to his own statement, hearing, "I'm going to kill you," and the body falling a split second later, would have had to hear the boy make the statement as the L train was roaring past his nose. It's not possible he could have heard it.
That's idiotic! Sure he could have heard it.
It's not possible?
The old man said the boy yelled it out.
That's enough for me. Even if he heard anything, he couldn't have recognized the boy's voice.
You're crazy. Why should the old man lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Maybe you should sell one into a newspaper. They pay $3.
Hey, what are you talking to an old woman like that for? Someone who talks to an old woman like that ought to get stepped on.
Don't touch me.
Learn some respect. Go ahead. You can say what you want.
Why do you think the old man might lie? Thank you. It's just that I looked at this man for a very long time. His jacket was torn. I mean, to come to court like that. He was walking to the stand very slowly, dragging his left leg, trying to hide it because he was ashamed. I think I know this man more than anyone else here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has been nothing all his life. No one's ever sought his advice after 75 years. He's never been in the newspaper. No one knows him. No one quotes him. This is a very important trial, and I think it would be very hard for him just to recede into the background.
So, are you trying to tell us that he'd lie just to be an important one?
No, but perhaps make himself believe he heard those words and recognize the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that? What do you know about it?
This case is based on reasonable and logical progression of facts. Let's keep it there.
Facts may be colored by the personalities of the people who present them.
Anyone want a cough drop?
I'll take one.
Say what you like, I still don't see how anybody can think he's not guilty.
There's another thing I'd like to bring up. I think we've proven that the old man couldn't possibly have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
What are you talking about? You didn't prove it at all.
But supposing he really did hear it. This phrase, how many times has each of us used it? Probably hundreds. I mean, honey, I could kill you for that. Do that again, Junior, and I'll kill you. Kill him, Rocky. We use it every day. It's not like we're actually going to kill anyone.
Wait a minute. The old man said the boy screamed it at the top of his lungs. Don't tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody who says a thing like that the way he said it, they mean it.
Well, actually, I don't know. I was working with this guy at the bank the other day, and we had gotten into this argument. He called me an idiot, so I yelled at him, and I said...
Okay, no, listen. This woman is making you believe things that aren't so. The boy said he was going to kill us, and he did.
Well, what about this? Do you really think that the boy would yell a thing like that so the entire neighborhood could hear? I don't think so. He's much too bright for that, right?
He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't speak good English.
I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
No, you gotta be kidding.
You heard. Are you sure?
I'm absolutely sure.
The vote is 93 in favor of guilty.
Well, if that isn't deluding it, what are you basing it on? Stories that she made up? She ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. She'd make a fortune. Look, facts are staring at you right in the face. They all point to the kid killing his old man. For crying out loud, his own lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance from the beginning. His own lawyer. You can see it. He deserves the chair.
Does he? It's happened before where someone has been convicted and executed of a crime and years later someone else has confessed. Sometimes the facts that are staring you right in the face are wrong.
I was talking to her, not you. Man, she was doing something. Look, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? He presented the case, not you. So how come you got so much to say?
The lawyer was court appointed.
So what does that mean?
It could mean a lot of things. It could mean he didn't want the case. It could mean that he resented being appointed. It's the kind of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory, not even much chance of winning. It's not a very good situation for a young lawyer to be in. He really had to believe in his client in order to make a good case. And as you just pointed out, he obviously didn't.
Sure he couldn't. Who in hell could except God go murder somebody? Come on, people, look at the time.
I have some notes here.
Notes yet.
Please, I would like to say something. I have been listening very closely, and it seems like this woman has some very good points to make. From what was represented, it looks like the boy, but maybe if we go deeper.
Come on, will ya?
There is a question I would like to ask, please. Now, we all assume the boy committed the murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and ran away. 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was he caught? Well, 3 hours later, he was caught by 2 detectives in the hallway of his house. Why come back 3 hours later? Wouldn't you be afraid of being caught?
He came back to get his knife. It's not nice to leave knives sticking in people's chests.
Yeah, especially relatives.
The boy knew that there were people out there who could identify the knife as the one he had just bought. He had to get it before the police did.
Then why leave it in the first place?
Well, I think we could assume in his state of panic. He was in a state of panic after he killed his father. And when he finally calmed down, he realized that he left the knife there.
Ah, well then this depends on your definition of panic. He was obviously calm enough to see to it that there were no fingerprints on the knife. So where did the panic begin and end?
Look, he still came home to get the knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later?
Sure, 3 hours later.
If I were the boy and I had killed my father, I wouldn't come home 3 hours later. I'd be afraid of the police being there, knife or no knife.
Listen, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on?
I don't have to be loyal to one side or the other. I'm just simply asking questions.
Well, this is just off the top of my head, but if I were, the boy and I'd done stabbing and everything, I'd take the chance to go back for the knife. I'll bet he figured if no one had seen him and that the body hadn't even been discovered yet. After all, it was the middle of the night. He probably thought no one would find the body until the next day.
Here is my whole point. The woman across the street testified that a moment after the L train went by, screamed and went up to telephone the police. Now, the boy must have certainly heard the woman scream and ran away. Now, I don't think he would have gone back if she would have been the murderer.
2 points. 1. In his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. And 2. If he did hear it, he may not have connected it with his own act. Remember, he lived in a neighborhood where screams were a fairly commonplace.
That's right, she's right.
Maybe he did stab his father, didn't hear the woman scream, did run out in a panic, did calm down 3 hours later and come back to try to get the knife, risking being caught by the police. Maybe all of these things are so, but maybe they aren't. I'd say there's enough doubt for us to wonder whether he was even there at the time of the murder.
What do you mean, doubt? What are you talking about? Didn't the old man see him run out of the house? She's twisting the facts, I'm telling you. Did or didn't the old man see the kid run out of the house at 12:10?
Well, he says he didn't.
Says he did. Boy, how do you like that? Well, did or didn't the woman across the street see the kid kill his father? She says she did. You're making it out like it don't matter what people say. What you want to believe, you believe. And what you don't want to believe, you don't. What kind of way is that? What do you think these people get on the witness stand for? Their help? The facts are being changed and witnesses are being doubted and there's no reason for it.
Witnesses are people. They can make mistakes as well.
Yeah, sure, when you want them to, they do. Know what I mean?
Okay, let's hold the yelling down.
You keep saying that. Maybe what we need is a little yelling in here. These people are mixed up. Did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream. What's the difference? They're just little details. I mean, all of a sudden here, everybody...
for another vote.
Listen, I'm talking here.
There's another vote called for. How about taking seats? Okay, I guess the fastest way is to find out who's voting not guilty. All those in favor of not guilty, raise your hands. 2, 3. That's 3 not guilties and 9 guilties.
So now, I'm telling you, we could yakety yak until next Tuesday's here. Where's it getting us?
Pardon. I vote not guilty.
Isn't this the most ridiculous thing?
The vote is 8-4 in favor of guilty.
Listen, everybody's heart is starting to bleed for this kid, like the president declared it, love your unreasonable little brother week. Well, I'm not buying it. I'd like you to tell me why you changed your vote. Come on, give me reasons.
I don't have to defend my decision to you. I have reasonable doubts in my mind.
Reasonable doubt? That's nothing but words. The boy you just decided was not guilty was seen ramming this thing into his father. Well, look at it, Mr. Reasonable Doubt.
That's not the ninth member.
Brilliant.
I'm telling you, this is the craziest. I mean, you're sitting here pulling stories out of thin air. I mean, what are we supposed to believe? I'm telling you, if you were sitting ringside at the Ollie Frazier fight, she'd be trying to tell us that Frazier won. Look, what about the old man? Are we supposed to believe that he didn't run to the door, see the kid tear down the stairs?
Did you say that the old man ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember, but I don't see how he could have ran.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Wait a minute.
Where was the old man's bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No.
Woman, can we get the diagram of the equipment here? Why don't we have them rerun the trial so you can get everything straight?
Warren?
I heard you.
I don't think this is going to prove here. The man said he saw the boy running out.
Well, let's see if the details bear out. Let's see, he said that as soon as the body fell, he heard footsteps upstairs running towards the front door. He heard the front door open and footsteps start running down the stairs. He said he got up, got to the door as quickly as he could. He said it couldn't have been more than 15 seconds.
He said 20.
He said 15.
No, I'm telling you, he said 20. What are you trying to distort here?
He said 15.
You can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15. He was positive about it. He's an old man. He was confused half the time. How could he be positive about anything?
Thank you. May I?
Yes.
Okay. So, let's see. He said he was in bed in this room. Oh, right. This is the apartment in which the murder took place, if I didn't explain that. The old man's apartment is directly below it and exactly the same. The L tracks are up here. This is the old man's bedroom. Here's the living room. There's the kitchen and the bathroom, I believe. That's the front hall, the front door, and the stairs. Let's see. The old man was in bed in this room. He says he got up, walked out into the hallway, walked down the hallway to the front door, and opened it just in time to see the boy running down the stairs. Am I correct so far? That's the story for the 19th time. 15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct?
See, the bed was at the window. Let's see, that's 12 feet. The hallway is 43 feet, 6 inches long. He would have had to get up, walk 12 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, and then open the front door, all in 15 seconds. Do you think he could have done it?
Sure he could have done it.
He only walked very slowly. They had to help him into the fitness chair.
You make it sound like a long walk. It's not. For an old man who had a stroke, it is a long walk.
This is the old man's bed.
What's going on here?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took.
What do you mean you want to try it? Why didn't the kid's lawyer bring it up if it was so important? I want to see this one too.
I'm going to pace off 12 feet the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
I'd like to see it.
Thank you very much. Right. Now the length of the hallway was a little more than 43 feet, so I'll pace that long back.
Look, this is absolutely insane. What's the idea of wasting everybody's time here?
3. According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds, and I think we can spare that. Okay, so this is the front door of the apartment. According to the testimony, it was chain locked. see. Does anyone have a watch with a second hand on it?
I have.
All right. Stand your foot when you want me to start. That'll be the volley falling. Time me from there. Anyone for charades?
I never saw so much time spent on nothing.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go here.
I want to wait until the hand reaches 60.
Come on, snap it up. You walk twice as fast as that.
This, I think, is even more quicker than you walk now.
You want me to walk faster than I will?
Come on, let's get this kid stuff over with, will ya? It is about the speed you went.
This is so ridiculous. G-mark, open, tight.
Right.
How long was that?
42 seconds.
42 seconds. This is what really happened. The old man heard the fight between the boy and his father a few hours ago. Then, during the night, he heard the body fall, heard the woman scream from across the street. He got up, tried to get to the door, heard someone running down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy. You think that's possible?
Assumed? You know, I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake. You come in here with your sanctimonious talk about slum kids and injustice, and you're starting to get through to some of the old ladies in here. Well, you're not getting through to me. I've had enough. This boy is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Slip through our fingers? What are you, an executioner?
I'm one of them.
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
Gosh. I actually feel sorry for you.
Don't start me.
Ever since you walked in that door, you've been behaving like some kind of self-appointed public avenger.
I'm telling you now, shut up!
You want to see this boy dead, not because of the fact, but because you personally want it.
Shut up!
You're a sadist!
I'm telling you now, shut up, you stupid son of a bitch! Mom, let go! God damn it, I'll kill her! I'll kill her!
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Noise. No, everything's okay. Just a little argument, that's all. We're finished with this.
I suppose someone has to start it off again.
Hey, since it looks like we'll be here for dinner, do you know that if they take us out to a restaurant to eat, or, how do I know? Well, it's just that I've got a boy who's at home sick with chicken pox, and I'm really worried because my wife says he looks like death. I want to get home as soon as possible.
This is not why we are here. In fact, I have always thought is what's wonderful about this country is that we have a responsibility that we, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down here and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man. We should not make this a personal thing.
If no one else has an idea, I may have a cutie. Haven't given much thought. Anyway, let me throw it out and see if the cat looks it up.
Cat licks it up?
Wasn't much of an idea anyways.
God, it's hot. It's getting dark. It looks like there's going to be a storm.
Oh, no. Excuse me? Do you sweat?
No, I don't. I was wondering if maybe we should get
Great idea. Maybe we could follow this one up with dancing and refreshments.
Mrs. Foreman.
All right with me. Anyone doesn't want to vote?
I think we ought to have an open ballot. Call out our votes. Let's see who stands where.
That sounds fair. Anyone object? All right, the last vote was 8-4 in favor of guilty. I'll call off by your jury numbers. I vote guilty. How about you, number 2?
Not guilty.
3?
Guilty.
4? Guilty. 5? Not guilty. 6?
Not guilty.
7?
Guilty.
8?
Not guilty.
9?
Not guilty.
10?
Guilty.
11?
Not guilty.
12?
Guilty.
6-6.
And we're going to extra innings here.
6 to 6. I'm telling you, some of you people are out of your minds. Kid like that.
I don't think the kind of boy he is has anything to do with it. It's the facts that determine the case.
Don't give me any of that. I am sick and tired of facts. You can choose them any way you like. Know what I mean?
That's the exact point she's trying to make. God, you keep screaming at the top of your lungs. It's so hot in here.
She found some water?
No, thank you. Looks like it's going to rain.
No, how'd you figure that one out, Blue Eye? Tell me, how come you switched?
Well, it just seems to me that...
I mean, you don't have a leg to stand on, you know that, don't you?
No, I don't feel that way. It's just that there were a lot of details left out. A lot of little things.
Details? You're just letting yourself get bulldozed by a bunch of, what do you call them, intellectuals.
Now that's not so.
Come on, you're like everybody else. You think too much, you get mixed up. You know what I mean?
You don't have any kind of right to... Loudmouth.
Wow. Would you look at that?
Man.
Think it'll pull things off? Yeah, I hope so.
Well, reminds me of this one game that we had in November. It was last year sometime. Man, it was raining cats and dogs. What a game. Maybe you should try getting a thing going on.
Don't do that. Must have been connected to the light switch or something.
So, some rain, huh?
What do you think of this thing? It's even Steven. Kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yes.
Look, about earlier. I don't know what she was trying to prove. Where did she get off calling me a sadist and a public avenger and all that? Anybody in their right mind would have blown their stacks. She was just trying to bait me.
Well, she did an excellent job.
Okay, maybe she did. Listen, I'm a certain type of person. I get moved by this, but let me tell you, I'm sincere.
Fine, aren't we all?
Well, isn't this the darndest thing you ever saw? 6 to 6. It's a joke.
Well, what are we gonna do? Can't we break it somehow?
Well, those 6 idiots in there are going to change their minds.
5 of them already have changed their mind. There's no reason why they can't be persuaded to do it again.
How?
Just by using logic.
Logic. Holy cow.
Now you listen to this woman. She's the only one in the room who knows
You want my opinion?
Go ahead.
I think we should just quit.
What the hell are you talking about?
Look, they're not going to change their minds. So let's go and tell the judge. We'll be here all night. Let's tell him we're hung. I mean, what the hell? What am I going to do? Break my back over scum like that?
You can't just quit.
Well, why not?
Because it's dishonest.
All right, calm down. We're not going to get anywhere like this.
Well, what does she want? I gave my honest opinion.
I know.
Well, I suppose you don't think much of it.
No, I don't.
We'd like to get going in here again.
How about her? Is that something?
A hung jury doesn't mean anything. They just start the trial over with another jury. That's not why we're here.
What the hell's the difference? A hung jury is what you're gonna get.
I vote for that too. I say we take it to the judge and let her kid take his chance with 12 other people. I don't think the program would touch hung jury. We haven't been in here very long, so let's find out.
I'm not in favor.
Look, the kid would stand a chance with another jury, we know it. Come on, we're hung. No one's gonna change their opinion, let's take it inside.
You mean there's still no reason for reasonable doubt?
No, there isn't.
Maybe you don't understand the job.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who the hell are you to talk to me like that? I'm telling you, they're all alike. They come over right into this country before we can take a big breath and telling us how to run the show. The arrogance of this guy.
You mean you're calling him arrogant because he wasn't born here?
Well, I am calling you arrogant because you were. How is that?
Please, it doesn't matter.
Listen, no one's gonna tell me what I understand and what I don't. Especially him, because I'll knock his middle European head off.
All right, let's stop this arguing for 2 minutes. Can we stick to the subject?
There's something I'd like to talk about for a minute, if you all don't mind. One of the most important points for the prosecution was the fact that the boy, after claiming to be at the movies during the time when the murder took place, couldn't identify the movies he'd seen or the people who played in them. This woman here has talked about that point several times.
That's right. It was the only alibi he offered, and he himself couldn't back it up with any details.
Putting yourself in the boy's place if you can, do you think you would be able to remember details after an upsetting event such as being struck in the face by your own father?
I do, if there were any special details to remember. He couldn't remember the movies at the theater because he wasn't there that night.
According to the testimony, the boy was questioned in the kitchen of his apartment while the body of his father was lying in the room next door. Do you really think you'd be able to remember details under such circumstances?
I do.
Under great emotional stress?
Under great emotional stress.
The boy remembered the movies in court. He named them correctly and the stars who played them.
Yes, his lawyer took great pains to bring that out. He had 3 months from the night of the murder to the day of the trial in which to memorize them. I'll take the testimony of the policeman who interrogated him right after the murder, when he couldn't remember anything about the movies, great emotional stress or not.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
I was home.
And the night before last?
I went from court to my office and stayed there till 8:30. Then I went straight home to bed.
And how about the night before that?
That was Tuesday. Oh yes, that was the night of the bridge tournament. I played bridge.
And Monday night?
When you get them down, New Year's Eve 1995, let me know. Monday night, my husband and I went to the movie.
What did you see?
The Secret Circus. It's a very pleasant movie.
What was the second feature?
I'll tell you in a minute. The remarkable Mrs. something. Bainbridge.
Excuse me, I saw that. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge. Yes, I think that's right.
Who was in it?
Barbara Long, I think. She's a dark, very pretty girl. Something like that.
Who else?
Well, I've never heard of them before. It was a very inexpensive feature with
And you weren't under any sort of emotional strain, were you?
No, I wasn't.
I think
Big point.
it is a big point.
What, just because you can't remember the names of the 2 good movie stars? I suppose that proves the kids at the movies.
No, but it indicates that no one can prove otherwise. If it's perfectly normal for this woman here to forget a couple details, then it's perfectly normal for the boy to. Being accused of murder doesn't make your memory infallible.
You can talk till your tongue is dragging on the floor. The boy is guilty. Know what I mean, my friend? Who's got those hot dogs?
They're all gone, my friend.
You know, there's something we're forgetting here that I was just thinking about. The whole entire business of the psychiatrist that dragged on forever.
Don't start with all that phony psycho, whatever you call it stuff. What a racket that is. Filling people's heads with that junk. Look, I got 3 psychiatrists living in my apartment. The whole 3 of them are crazy.
Listen, there was a point I'm trying to make here. Do you mind?
I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony.
Just let the woman talk. You can take 5 minutes on the uselessness of psychiatry once we're done.
What I was going to say was that the psychiatrist definitely stated that the kid had strong homicidal tendencies. I mean, that he was, capable of committing murder. You know, he described all of those tests, ink blots, and all that stuff, that he said that the kid was definitely the killer type. Am I right?
Check. I think he said something about paranoid tendencies, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Whatever that is, he said it. Let's not forget, we're talking about a boy who always had murder on his mind.
He's unconscious. I beg pardon. Disgusting.
I beg pardon. What are you so polite about?
For the same reason you're not. That's the way I was raised. Now, in discussing such murder potential, we should all remember that each and every one of us is capable of murder. The most these psychiatric tests prove is this, that we may someday be able to predict a person may commit murder. That's it. They prove nothing else.
Then how come they made it in evidence?
It has many uses, of course. They add to the situation the prosecution is trying to if we 12 jurors took the same test, one or two of us might have undesired potential to kill. To say that a man is capable of murder does not mean he has committed a murder.
But it can mean it. Look, if they said that he was capable of killing, he could have killed, couldn't he?
You're the one who said, and I quote, "I wouldn't give you a nickel for a psychiatrist's testimony."
Oh, I'm telling you,
I'd like to. 5 to 6.
Man, look at that rain.
There goes your ball game.
Say, could I see that knife again?
yeah.
Well, we're all tied up 6 to 6. Who's got a suggestion?
I have one. Let's get some dinner.
Why don't we give it an hour? Wait till 7.
It's okay with me.
There's something that I'd like to say. It's been bothering me for a little while, but since we're stuck here, anyway, this whole business with the wound and how it was made, the downward angle of it, you know? I just don't go along with it. Because the boy is 5'7" and the father is 6'2", and it's just a little bit awkward to stab downward into the chest of somebody who's taller than you are by 7 inches.
Give me that.
Okay, you're not going to be satisfied until you see it again.
So I'm going to give you a demonstration. Somebody come here.
Perfect. Now pay attention. I don't want to have to do this again. I'm 6 or 7 inches shorter than you, right?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more.
Okay, let it be more. Now just calm down. Nobody's hurt, right? Nope, nobody's hurt. Well, there you go. There's your aim. Take a look at it. Down and in. That's the way I'd stab a taller man in the chest, and that's the way it was done. Now tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in. I guess there's no argument.
Wait a minute. Let me see that. Oh yeah, I hate these things. They come from the water, from where I come from. Have you seen them used in fights? I have. How would you use one? Underhanded. That. And you wouldn't use them any other way? Anybody who'd ever use this type of knife wouldn't use it any other way. Are you sure? I'm absolutely sure. You say the kid was pretty handy with the knife, no? Do you think he would have made the sort of wound that killed his father? No. If he stabbed downward, he'd have to change his position. Since he was good with the knife, I don't think he would do that. How do you know? What? Were you in the room when the father was killed? No, I wasn't. Oh, I hate those things. Listen, you're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo here. I don't believe it.
I don't think you can determine what type of wound this boy might or might not have made simply because he knows how to handle a knife.
That's right. She's right. What do you think?
What? I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know.
How about you?
Okay, let's wait a minute. The woman across the street said that she saw the boy.
Okay, you know what? I'm getting a little sick and tired of all this. All this yapping is getting us nowhere. So I decided to draw it here. Change my vote to not guilty. You're what? You heard me. I've had enough. What do you mean you've had enough? That's no answer. Listen, buddy, you just worry about yourself.
You're right. That is not the answer. You have sat here and voted guilty with everyone else because there are a couple baseball tickets burning a hole in your pocket. Now all of a sudden, you change your vote because you're tired of all this talking. You have no right to play with a man's life like that. That is a sick and disgusting thing to do.
Listen, you can't talk to me like that.
I can talk like that to you. If you think the man is guilty, then vote that way. If you don't, then vote that way.
Look here.
Guilty or not guilty?
I told you not guilty.
Why?
I don't have to give you a reason.
You do have to. Say it. Why?
I don't think he's guilty. I'd like to call for another vote.
Okay, another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is by a show of hands. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All those voting guilty? 1, 2, 3. 9 to 3 in favor of not guilty.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. How can you believe a story? You're an intelligent man. Well, you're not going to tell me you're not. You know the facts of life. Well, look at what we're dealing with here. You know what they're like. I mean, that lady over there, well, I don't know what the hell is going on with her. All that talk about psychiatrists. Maybe she ought to go to one. Look, let's talk facts. These people are born to lie. Now that's the way they are, and no intellectual is going to tell me otherwise. They don't know what the truth is. I mean, take a look at them. They're different. They think different. They act different. Well, for instance, they don't need any big excuse to kill someone. Well, that's true. Everybody knows it. They get drunk on wine or something cheap like that. Oh, they're very big drinkers. What's with her? Well, and then they're drunk, and all of a sudden, bang, someone's lying dead in the gutter. Okay, no one's blaming them for it. That's the way they are by nature. Know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Where are you going? Well, you're in there. Clean out your ears. Maybe you'll hear something. These people are boozing it up and fighting all the time, and if someone gets killed, so someone gets killed. They don't care. Family don't mean anything to them. They breed like animals. Fathers, mothers, they don't mean nothing. Oh, sure, there's some good things about them. Look, I'm the first to say that. I've known some who are okay, but that's the exception.
You are sick.
Sick?
Why don't you sit down?
You old son of a... Who the hell are you? No, who the hell is she to call me that? Sick? Look at her. She can hardly stand up. Listen, I'm speaking my piece here, and you're gonna listen.
Maybe if you just quiet down.
I will like hell quiet down. There is not one who's any good. Now, did you hear that? Not one. Now, let me lay this out for you, idiots. You at the window, you're so smart. We're facing a danger here. Don't you know it? These people are multiplying. That boy on trial, his type, they're multiplying 5 times as fast as we are. That's the statistic. 5 times. And they are wild animals. They're against us. They hate us. They want to destroy us. Oh, don't look at me like that. We're facing a danger here. For goodness sake, we're living in a dangerous time. And if we don't smack them down whenever we get the chance, they're going to own us. They're going to breed us out of existence. Oh, now let me lay this out for you geniuses.
Now I've heard enough. You should just sit down.
Where the hell do you get the gall to talk to me?
All right. We've heard enough. Now sit down and don't open your filthy mouth again.
It's very hard to keep a thing like personal prejudice out of a thing like this. No matter where you run into it, prejudice always obscures the truth. Well, I don't think any real damage has been done because I don't know what the truth is. No one ever will, I suppose. 9 of us now seem to think that the defendant is innocent, but we're just gambling on probabilities. We may be wrong. We may be trying to return a guilty man to the community. But we have a reasonable doubt. And this is a safeguard that has enormous value in our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We 9 just don't see how you 3 still can be so sure. Maybe you could tell us.
I'll try. You made some excellent points. The last one, in which you argued that the boy wouldn't have made that hand-over-hand stab that killed his father, was very persuasive. But I still believe he's guilty. I have 2 reasons. 1. The evidence is given by the woman across the street who actually saw the murder committed. And 2, the way she described it, she said that the boy raised his arm and stabbed his father in the chest. Okay? As far as I can see, that's an unshakable testimony.
That's right, she's right.
Now, let's talk about this woman for a minute. She said that she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night, right? And her bed was next to the window, and she could look out while lying down and see directly into the boy's window. At about 10 minutes after 12, she turned around and she saw the boy there. She saw him stab his father. She said that the lights went out immediately, but that she got a good look at the boy in the act of that.
That's right, that's the whole case.
What do you think?
Well, it's not so easy to arrange the evidence anymore.
You can throw out all the other evidence. Somebody saw you do it.
Well, I don't know. It's some pretty complicated business.
What do you mean you don't know? The woman saw him do it.
Well, maybe.
Let's vote on it.
I'm changing my vote. I think he's guilty.
Anybody else? The vote is 8-4.
Now, what makes you think this vote a person of triumph?
I'm the competitive type. Now, here's what I think. I think we're a hung jury. Let's take it into the judge.
Wait, I don't understand. You said you didn't want a hung jury before.
Well, I want it now.
You said it was immoral to have one.
I don't think so anymore. Look, some of the people in here are just so damn stubborn you can't even... You're the leader of the cause. How about it? Let's go over it again. We went over it again. Number 12 over there is bouncing back and forth like a tennis ball.
Wait a second. You don't have the right to talk.
I apologize on my knees. Come on, let's get out from under this thing. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Is anyone thinking about getting dinner?
Alright, I think it's time that we see where we go from here, okay? Someone before mentioned 7 o'clock. So,
Quarter after 6.
Quarter after 6, thank you. I think that's a reasonable time at which we might begin to discuss whether we're
Don't you feel
a hung jury or not. I feel perfectly well, thank you. As I was saying, 7 o'clock would be a
The reason
reasonable...
I'm sorry, it's just you made a gesture that reminded me.
I'm trying to settle something. Do you mind?
I think this is important.
Very well.
Why were you rubbing your eyes like that?
Well, if it's any of your business, I was rubbing it because it bothers me.
I'm sorry. Is it because of your eyeglasses?
It is. Now, could we get on to something else?
Those eyeglasses leave those deep impressions on the sides of your nose. That must be annoying.
They're really annoying.
I wouldn't know. I've never had eyeglasses. I've always had good vision.
Listen, will you close the optometrist a bit?
The woman who testified had those same deep marks on the sides of her nose.
That's right, she did.
I don't know if anyone else noticed, but she kept rubbing them, of course.
She did. She absolutely did.
This woman was about 45 years old, making a tremendous effort to look 35. Heavy makeup, dyed hair, brand new clothes that should have been worn by a younger woman, and no eyeglasses. See if you can get a mental picture of her.
Okay, you don't know if she wore eyeglasses just because she was rubbing her nose.
Listen, I saw them too. She's right. I was the closest one to her. She had those deep things, what do you call them?
What point are you making here?
She had those marks.
She had dyed hair and marks on her nose. I'm asking you, what does it mean?
Could those marks be made by anything other than eyeglasses?
No, they couldn't.
You're crazy. I didn't see any marks.
Strange. I did. But I didn't think about it before.
Why didn't the lawyer bring it up if it was so important? There are 12 of us in here talking about this case. 11 of us didn't think of it either. Okay, Ace. Now, what do you think? Do you think the district attorney would pull a trick like that and have her testify without glasses?
Have you ever seen someone who had to wear eyeglasses but didn't want to because they thought they spoiled their looks?
My husband, as soon as we're out of the house.
Maybe the district attorney didn't know either.
You're crazy. I didn't see any marks.
She had them. I saw them.
What more do you want?
I don't know. I mean, I guess she was home alone. Wait, hold on. You don't wear your eyeglasses when you go to bed, do you?
No, no one does.
Well, then it's reasonable to say that she wasn't wearing them while she was tossing and turning and trying to fall asleep, right?
How do you know?
I don't know. I'm guessing. And I'm also guessing that she didn't put them on before she casually turned and looked out the window and supposedly saw the boy stab his father.
Wait a second.
She herself said that the lights went out right after she saw, so she wouldn't have had time to put them on. Here's another guess. Maybe she honestly believes that she saw the boy stab his father. I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? How does she know all these things? Look, maybe the woman didn't wear glasses at all. You don't know what kind of glasses she wore.
farsighted. Maybe they were sunglasses. What do you know about it? All I know is that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She had to identify a person 60 feet away, in the dark, without glasses.
You can't send someone to die on evidence like that.
Don't give me that! Don't you think it's possible that the woman made a mistake? No! You don't think it's possible? No, not possible! Do you think it's possible?
Yes, I say not guilty.
Do you still think he's guilty?
Yes, I still think he's guilty, but I could care less. Do whatever you want.
How do you vote?
Not guilty. Whatever you want.
Huh. You're the worst son of a... I think he's guilty. Does anyone else think he's guilty?
No, I'm convinced.
What's the matter with you?
I now have reasonable doubt.
It's 11 to 1.
So what? You're alone. I don't care if I'm alone. That's my right. That's your right. Well, what do you want? We want your arguments. I gave you my arguments. Yeah, well, we want to hear them again. We have all the time it's going to take. Everything. Every single thing that came out in that courtroom, but I mean everything, says he's guilty. You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me. I can sit in this goddamn room for a year. Somebody say something. What about the old man? The old man who lived downstairs and heard everything. Or the knife. What? Just because she found one just like it? The old man saw him right there on the stairs. What's the difference how many seconds it took? What's the difference? Every single thing has been twisted and turned in here. Or the knife falling through a hole in his pocket. The old man saw him. You can hobble around this room all you like, but you cannot prove that he did not get to the door. Or the woman. How do you know she didn't have her glasses on? The woman testified in court. Well, that's it. That's the whole case. Or what about hearing the boy yell? The phrase was, I'm going to kill you. He said that to his father. I don't care what kind of man that was. That was his father. My God! How am I the only one that sees it? I know him. What they're like, what they do to you. How they kill you every day. My God, I can feel the knife going in. He's not your boy. He's somebody else.
Let him live.
All right. Not guilty.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, take your seats in the jury box.
Your audience. Audience, your cast.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for coming to see our show.
Yes. Thank you so much. So we have any questions about the show or about whether you thought it was guilty or not guilty? I know the cast would love to see a show of hands of guilty versus not guilty, so maybe think about what you think about the evidence. But can we start off with a question over there?
Oh, okay. I know. But do you guys actually think that he's guilty or not guilty?
Can we see a show of hands from the cast if you were on this jury? Not guilty?
All right, all those voting not guilty.
Guilty?
But I gotta agree with one of the things that we did in the play is I don't think he's honestly not guilty or guilty. I think the only reason I vote not guilty is because there just wasn't enough to pin him down.
The evidence was just a little shaky?
Yeah.
Okay, it definitely wasn't 100% not guilty.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that he couldn't have done it. I just...
There wasn't any reasonable doubt.
Yeah. There wasn't really enough evidence to put anything together.
It's been proved, I guess.
I'd like to ask if the cast learned or delved into any more about our justice system and how hard it is to sit on a jury like probably many of us in the audience have.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. There's so many conflicting emotions that it just tugs on you either way. Yeah, to have someone's life.
And we did talk about any trials that were in the news at that time, like due to the paper today or whatever. We did kind of bring up the things that were happening during the rehearsal process, which was quite a few. Yes, do you want to get up on stage? I think this one needs to get up on stage. Whoever she belongs to. She needed to be in Peter Pan last year. But yeah, I think it definitely probably brought stuff up for them. I mean, I don't know if, all of them even knew what a jury was or how the system worked or, sort of thing, So it's not something you think about until you get that summons in the mail and you're like, what? I have to give up my time to do this for a murder? So, yeah.
It's definitely a hard thing to think about because a lot of us have different ideas in our characters. Like I do, for example, I don't think the boy is guilty, or at least I don't have any idea as to why he would be. So it's kind of a balance of what's happening and what you think is happening. So it's a tricky show.
And we also talked about the death penalty itself, and their personal feelings are different than the jury's feelings, so that was at least, that was a weird thing here. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Just a comment. I don't know when this was written, but so much time has passed since then that we now know that eyewitness testimony is not reliable.
1957.
Modernized.
You made it to be in the year 2000. So. Ish. Yeah.
The thing about the movie having a second feature was still a little weird.
We tried to get rid of it, but it didn't really make sense.
We should have done like better movies and that.
Yeah, Linda?
I was just wondering, because I've been seeing you guys practice and how nerve-wracking it was for everybody to get their scripts together. How do you guys feel that you guys did a successful play?
God bless.
One down, three to go.
Kudos for your characterizations. I thought you did a marvelous job.
Thank you.
It's really tough when it's originally 12 Angry Men in 1957, and you have this racism and these male characters that we had to transform, and in some cases it really worked, and in other cases it's a little bit more of a tug. But I think over the course of the process, each of them really did try to find a character that would work regardless of gender, regardless of age, regardless of time period, and that's really the beauty of this play, is it really does work in that way.
I love it.
So, I mean, it could be played by gerbils and still make sense.
That's called Angry Jurrors.
Chipmunk version.
The costuming and the makeup, it all fits for your characters. It really does.
Thank you. We tried so hard.
Yeah, so show of hands from the audience if you were on this jury. Guilty?
All those voting guilty? All those guilty?
Raise your hand.
Okay. All right.
Not guilty.
Me too, brother.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming. If you enjoyed it, come back and see it again. We really don't even care about ticket prices and stuff like that. So, if you're like, I was here last night, can I just see it again? Sure, come on in. We just like performing it, and yeah,
Yeah, so bring your friends, spread the word if you liked it, and thank you so much. And same question, there's people that want some pictures. So